In a rural North Carolina hospital, a startling birth challenges everything. 3 triplets, born with rich dark skin to white parents, spark a mystery of identity and love. Abandoned by their birth parents, these babies are about to be embraced by an unexpected couple whose love will transform their destinies. What happens next will make you question everything you thought you knew about identity and family. Before we move on, let us know where you're listening from today, and please subscribe to our channel. In a quiet maternity ward tucked away in a rural North Carolina hospital 16 years ago, an unexpected event unfolded when 3 newborns arrived. These triplets, already remarkable in their own right, immediately drew attention with their rich dark skin, a striking contrast to the pale complexions of their white biological parents. At first, the nurses marveled at the sight of the healthy infants, each crying robustly. Yet unease quickly spread through the ward. The white parents, certain that it was impossible for them to have 3 black children, exchanged troubled looks. The exhausted mother whispered something to her husband, a detail lost in the hum of the room, while the tension in her voice resonated with everyone present. The father, tall and reserved, studied the triplets from a distance, his face betraying an inner conflict with an unspoken truth. When a nurse offered congratulations, his response was curt, "We need time to think." Later, the staff learned the bitter reality. Despite medical confirmations and genetic evidence, the couple had chosen to relinquish their parental rights, convinced that these children could not be theirs. "It's impossible," they maintained, their minds clouded by fear, shame, or perhaps an unwillingness to accept the unexpected. They completed the necessary paperwork to give up custody. As they left the hospital with an air of haunting finality, hushed whispers began circulating. Some speculated about a long-forgotten family lineage that could occasionally produce darker skin, while others believed the father simply refused to confront the complexities of raising children who did not resemble him. "They're your babies," the doctor had reminded them, but the father only shook his head in silent frustration. By evening, the parents were gone, leaving the triplets, a boy and 2 girls, in the care of the hospital and local social services. Despite the staff's busy schedules, they enveloped the infants in as much love as possible. There was quiet concern about whether any prospective adoptive parents would be willing to take on 3 children at once, especially with the scandalous story of their unusual appearance already circulating. But fate had other plans. Just a week later, a compassionate couple from nearby Asheville, Daniel and Rebecca, stepped forward. In their 40s and stable in their careers, Daniel working as a construction manager and Rebecca serving as a nurse in a neighboring district, they had long yearned for children. When they heard about the abandoned triplets, cast aside over a misunderstanding of skin color, they felt an immediate, heartfelt pull. Deep down, they knew these babies deserved a home that celebrated them, regardless of any complications. Upon arriving at the maternity ward, Daniel and Rebecca found the 3 tiny infants peacefully sleeping in a crib. The nurse recounted the entire ordeal, the original parents' sudden departure, spurred by the shock of the children's darker skin, even though science had confirmed their biological connection. Though the story saddened the couple, it only strengthened their resolve. When the nurse suggested that they might consider adopting just 1 or 2 of the children, Daniel and Rebecca exchanged a determined glance. "All 3, Rebecca declared. They believed that the siblings should remain together. Within a month, the adoption was finalized, and the triplets joined Daniel and Rebecca in their modest home on the outskirts of Asheville, where each child was lovingly given a new name. The boy was named Christopher, and the girls were christened Jasmine and Brianna. In those early months, the days blurred together with feedings, diaper changes, and the overwhelming joy of newfound family. Neither Daniel nor Rebecca cared about the children's skin tone. They embraced them wholly. Even when curious neighbors cast quizzical glances at a white couple pushing a stroller with black triplets, Daniel and Rebecca paid them no mind, focusing solely on the love they nurtured at home. As the children grew, distinct personalities began to emerge. Jasmine was the quiet, easily startled one. Brianna, fearless and always on the move, would explore every corner of the yard, and Christopher formed a special bond with Rebecca, often curling up at her feet during quiet moments. This little family created its own unique rhythm, a normalcy that eventually overshadowed the unusual origins of their beginnings. Over time, the children blossomed. By the age of 2, Jasmine's soft speech was filled with earnest curiosity. Brianna's boundless energy left colorful traces on the walls, and Christopher became the peacemaker, offering hugs and gentle reassurances whenever his sisters quarreled. Even though Daniel and Rebecca occasionally felt overwhelmed, they took immense pride in watching each child's personality shine. By the time the triplets reached preschool, murmurs began circulating among neighbors. Do they really know who their real parents are? Yet Rebecca, with her calm yet firm demeanor, dispelled such speculations. These children were unequivocally theirs, and the triplets never saw themselves as anything other than part of a loving family. Ask Jasmine, Christopher, or Brianna who their parents were, and they would eagerly run into Daniel or Rebecca's arms with beaming smiles. As the children turned 10, they began to notice differences that extended beyond skin color, and naturally, they wondered about the parents who had left them behind. When Christopher asked, "Are they still out there somewhere?" Rebecca responded with gentle honesty, explaining that their birth parents had not been ready for the responsibility. But Daniel and Rebecca had chosen to be their family. Though the children listened quietly, Jasmine growing thoughtful with library books on genetics and Brianna longing to meet the birth parents, they all ultimately agreed, "We have Mom and Dad right here." As the triplets entered their teenage years, life grew more vibrant with new friends, extracurricular clubs, and late-night study sessions. Jasmine discovered a passion for the violin, practicing diligently each evening. Brianna joined the track team with boundless ambition, and Christopher impressed everyone with his knack for robotics, often tinkering under Daniel's proud, watchful eye. Standing taller, with deeper voices and an unbreakable bond, the triplets filled the Johnson household with the lively sounds of everyday life. Jasmine's violin echoing softly, Brianna discussing upcoming track meets with excitement, and Christopher's robotics projects quietly humming in the background. The local community, once skeptical and curious, began to celebrate the family, with teachers and neighbors alike praising the supportive nature of Daniel and Rebecca. Old rumors of an unusual adoption or doubts about the children's origins gradually faded, replaced by the undeniable evidence of love and care. The notion that fear could have cast a shadow over the children's futures was dispelled by the radiant display of a united, loving family. In time, the narrative transformed into one of gratitude and hope. 6 years after that fateful day in the maternity ward, the triplets now faced new horizons. Jasmine had applied to join a regional youth orchestra, Brianna was pursuing a college athletic scholarship, and Christopher dreamed of a career in engineering. Daniel and Rebecca watched with quiet pride, often moved to tears by how far the children had come from such uncertain beginnings. Occasionally, one of the triplets would ask if their birth parents had ever tried to contact them. Rebecca would gently shake her head and explain that there had been no letters or calls, a truth that, for the children, was entirely enough. Their brief questions soon gave way to daily laughter, shared achievements, and the understanding that, while their origins were complicated, their present was overflowing with love. Ask any neighbor or teacher about the triplets, and they would likely smile and describe them as an ordinary yet remarkable family, a trio of siblings with indomitable spirit, raised by parents who never doubted their love. When asked how they managed it all, Daniel and Rebecca would simply say, "They're our children. We do what any loving parents do." In reality, their decision was extraordinary, a single fateful choice to embrace 3 abandoned babies, and in doing so transform their destinies. Through unwavering love, the course of each child's future was forever altered. Evenings in the Johnson household were filled with the gentle clatter of family conversation at the dinner table, the triplets laughing over inside jokes, and the quiet promise of a future brimming with endless possibilities. Through the journey of these resilient triplets and their loving adoptive family, we see that true family is built on the foundation of care and commitment, not just blood. What do you believe truly defines family? Let us know in the comments below, and thank you for listening.